Hey y'all, I got good news for you. Jesus loves you. This I know because the Bible tells me so. Little ones to him belong, which I promise is not as weird as it sounds. While we all know that Jesus loves us, I think sometimes we fail to understand the depth of his love. So today, I want to share with you the shortest verse of the Bible and why it's the most powerful example of Jesus' love. John 11:35. Jesus wept. Jesus wept is my favorite Bible verse, but it's also the shortest Bible verse in most English translations, and for a while, that's why it was my favorite. It was one of the only ones I could memorize. But while studying the book of John a couple years ago, I actually took the time to read chapter 11, and it ended up becoming my favorite chapter in the Bible. For those of you who don't know, chapter 11 mostly focuses on Lazarus' death and resurrection. But since the entire story is 44 verses long and I've only got about 5 minutes before you get tired of listening to me, I'm just going to give you the SparkNotes version. There was a man named Lazarus who was the brother of Mary and Martha. Lazarus and his family were friends with Jesus. One day when Lazarus got sick, Mary and Martha sent some people to find Jesus, hoping that he would heal Lazarus. However, when Jesus heard that Lazarus was sick, he stayed where he was for 2 days before going back to the town of Bethany, where Mary and Martha lived. The disciples didn't want to go to Bethany because the people there had tried killing all of them recently. But when Jesus told them Lazarus was dead, they decided to go to Bethany with him. By the time Jesus got to Bethany, Lazarus had been dead for 4 days already. Martha had told Jesus that if he had been there, Lazarus would not have died, but Jesus told her that Lazarus will rise again. That brings us up to verse 33, but before I continue, I want to point out a few things. First, in verse 4, Jesus says, "The sickness will not end in death. It is for God's glory, so God's Son may be glorified through it." And in verse 11, Jesus tells his disciples, "Our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I am going there to wake him up." Jesus clarifies in verse 14 that Lazarus isn't taking a nap or getting his beauty sleep. Jesus knows that Lazarus is already dead. And that brings us back to verse 33. When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come along with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in spirit and troubled. "Where have you laid him?" he asked. "Come and see, Lord," they replied. Jesus wept. Then the Jews said, "See how he loved him?" But some of them said, "Could not he who opened the eyes of the blind man have kept this man from dying?" This story resonates with me for 2 reasons. First, it shows us that God knows what he's doing, even if we can't see it. Jesus knew that Lazarus had died, and that he would raise him from the dead. But imagine this story from Mary and Martha's perspective. You have a friend, Jesus, who can perform all sorts of miracles. You've seen him give sight to the blind and heal people miles away. But now your brother is sick, and you send someone to ask Jesus for help. Your messenger returns telling you that Jesus isn't coming, and then your brother dies. As far as you know, you will never get to talk to your brother again. I can't blame Mary and Martha for being upset with Jesus. I probably would have been too. Verse 21 and 32, they both say, "Lord, if you had been here, Lazarus would not have died." They've gone through a tough time, but they can't see the big picture. To them, it looks like God has abandoned them, but that is never the case. God often lets bad things happen to us because he knows something good will come from it, or because he knows that bad things are sometimes necessary for us to grow. In Romans 8:18, Paul says, "I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be shown to us." Things might seem bleak, but God has something better planned for us. And that brings us to the primary reason that John chapter 11 is my favorite chapter. If Jesus knew that he was about to raise Lazarus from the dead, then why is he crying? For a long time, I just assumed that Jesus was sad that his friend died, but Jesus knew he was about to see Lazarus, so his tears couldn't be from grief. Well, we can find the answer in verse 33. When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come along with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in spirit and troubled. Jesus wasn't crying because he was sad. He was crying because those he loved were sad. This might not be the most powerful example of love in the Bible, but it is my favorite. All of us have been sad because something bad has happened to us, but not everyone gets sad when other people are sad. Jesus loved Mary and Martha so much that their grief broke his heart, and Jesus loves us the same way. On chapter 15, Jesus says, "As the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. If you keep my commands, you will remain in my love." And a few verses later, Jesus commands us to love each other. How can we show the same kind of love that Jesus showed us? Of course, I don't expect any of you to raise someone from the dead. Actually, I'd be really alarmed if you did. But there are other ways we can show that kind of love to each other. Someone is bullying a cashier at Walmart, you can stand up for them. Someone at work or at school needs help, you can be the first person to offer to help. If a poor YouTuber is struggling to get his channel off the ground, you can like and subscribe, and if you like the video, share it with your friends. There's a summer camp I enjoy volunteering at each summer, and in the mess hall there is a banner that says, "Enjoy your week, but let others do likewise." The best way you can show your love is to go one step beyond that banner. Don't just let others enjoy their week. Go out of your way to help them enjoy their week, just like Jesus went out of his way to show love to all of us. Hey y'all, I hope you enjoyed my first video. I plan on making these weekly, so if you liked this video, be sure to come back next week. Bye!